Your danger.
Oh, this is live.
Around 6:35 that morning in West Maui, another fire happened near Lahaina Intermediate School.
Power line just went down. See them right there. That's the power line that started.
It didn't spread far and was contained a few hours later. But by 3 p.m. in the same location, another fire flared up, and this one was moving fast.
Wow, that's like 4 or 5 houses.
Flames eventually jumped the Lahaina bypass, a key exit out of town. There was chaos. Power poles and lines were down, complicating the mad rush to escape.
Guys, we gotta walk.
Hell no, we're gonna die.
But no siren sounded to warn of the emergency.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not.
Police officers rushed through neighborhoods.
Houses.
That's a house on fire. Bro, everything is on fire.
Come on! There's a fire. Is there anybody else in here? No, I'm here by myself. Come on.
The wind whipped blaze barreled towards Front Street. Everywhere people turned, there were flames. Some jumped into the ocean.
Both sides, to the left and the right, are on fire.
Hoping the water would provide protection.
Explosions going on. Hundreds of explosions.
Smoke so dark and dense turned the afternoon into night. Everyone who made it out watched their beloved town burn from afar. But more than 100 people didn't survive.
The way he went, I can never get over that. And just wondering the pain and suffering.
The fire burned through the night, and as the smoke began to clear the next morning, we all saw for the first time the Lahaina we knew was gone. One of the first people I met here in Lahaina the morning after the fires was Kekoa Lansford. His emotions were so raw after spending the entire night rescuing people from the flames. A year later, this hero says all of Lahaina still needs help. So I met you almost a year ago. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there and able to smile, something almost unimaginable a year ago, as the heartbreak of what happened in Lahaina was still so raw for Kekoa Lansford.
If you guys can't imagine what hell looked like on earth, that's what it looked like. Still get dead bodies in the water, floating, and on the seawall. They've been sitting there since last night. We've been pulling people out since last night, trying to save people's lives.
Kekoa got his family to safety as the flames engulfed Lahaina. Then he went back into the inferno and risked his life to save others.
And if I saw somebody, I helped them. This is a nationwide issue at this point. Yeah, we need help, a lot of help. We gotta get people down here.
His passionate plea made headlines around the world. A year later,
my plea is still the same. It is a nationwide issue. Fires are happening everywhere now, but I want to be more specific. We need help to rebuild.
Kekoa lost his own home in the fire. He's frustrated that he may not be able to rebuild it.
Not just not affordable, the cost is ridiculous to attempt to build right now. If I were to rebuild my home as it was standing today, I'm looking at like $1.2 million to rebuild it as it was. The idea that we have to get permits that we already had is asinine. I think it's unfair. And I think that more than unfair, I think it's wrong.
Kekoa wants more opportunities provided by the state, county, or federal government to help Lahaina residents pay for the rebuild, because Lahaina will never recover if its people can't return.
We have a serious battle or issue on our hands as local people, not just Hawaiians, but local people in Lahaina, and we need to stick together. We suffered, our families suffered, and we smiled and we stuck together, and the old timers and their stories can prove that. And we're not looking for a handout, we're looking for a hand up that we deserve.
Family, friends, and faith have kept wildfire survivors moving forward during this difficult year. Mahelani Richardson follows one man's journey, plus how a daring rescue turned strangers into best buddies. But first, church members mourn a historic loss, but say their ancestors saved a sacred site.
Historic Waiola Church was near the center of the Hawaiian Kingdom in Lahaina, and it's where Christianity started on the island of Maui. Over its 200 years, the church was destroyed during past disasters.
There was no siren, nothing.
And once again during last year's Lahaina wildfire.
Our haleai, it started to burn. Everything was burning from the top down.
Tama Kaleleiki Kahu, or guardian of the royal tomb, took photos of the church's dining hall in flames around 6:30 that night.
The smoke was so black that you could see, like we call akulele, these fireballs, they're just going.
He knew Waiola Church would be consumed.
The grief of knowing the inevitable, but we didn't know that our whole town would be gone.
Church caretakers hope to rebuild in 2 years, but say during the Lahaina fire, everything inside the church was destroyed, including the koa pews and altar and historic documents.
Sadly, because of our church records having been burned, we don't know where everybody is. And headstones were swept to a corner.
Just steps away, more than 1,000 people are laid to rest in the church's Waine'e graveyard, including members of the royal family. Among the most prominent, Queen Keopuolani, wife of Kamehameha I. Despite the vicious flames, the entire graveyard was miraculously spared.
I was actually amazed how much is still intact. I think because of the people that are here, it's protected.
My great-grandmother, Marianne Kaula Shaw Richardson, is buried here too. Despite lost records, some treasured photos survived. Here she is with Queen Liliuokalani. Her husband was a member of the Queen's Privy Council.
Welcome home, you know. It's a great thing.
Church members hope families come forward to help identify unmarked graves. And even though the church building is gone, it's their faith that endures.
There was 5 bedrooms on the top floor.
On the north end of Front Street, Charles Nahale visits his family's property. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers had just called to get permission to lay down gravel.
Seems like it's taken a long time just to do this much, but slowly but surely, I guess, the tortoise wins the race.
Nahale says he's seeing progress. His immediate neighborhood with concrete foundations looks completely different.
This is my house.
From when Lahaina was unrecognizable a day after the disaster. Memories of that tragic event remain vivid.
You could feel the heat and you could smell the smoke. It just came out of nowhere.
We were with Nahale 6 months after the catastrophe when his outlook was still bleak.
There's not much that's happened since the fire, 6 months out.
Since the fire, Nahale has lived like a nomad.
I got into something a little more long-term. I've moved 5 times.
He hopes to move back home in a couple of years with his inner strength still intact.
I try to stay with aloha and pono within, because strength comes from love.
3. Maybe it's the other side. Joseph!
2 wildfire survivors met a year ago.
What's up, bro? How are you? Nice to see you. Good to see you. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you, bro.
Strangers turned buddies, brought together during the Lahaina firestorm.
So when I saw the smoke, black smoke and flames, I say, it's time to get the hell out of there.
As ferocious flames spread near his home, now 92 years old, Joseph Brunel couldn't run. So he walked outside and found himself alone against terror.
The wind was blowing over 80 miles an hour. I was holding onto a tree.
This is the tree that Brunel was desperately hanging on to. He was determined to cling to his life during the hurricane-force winds.
By the time I got from downstairs upstairs 5 minutes, our house was full of black smoke.
Jamie Fernandez evacuated his own home just below Brunel's and jumped into his truck.
The fire truck was blocking the road and the houses were all on fire, and I was blocked in, and I came back down the road, made that turn where he was, and then I saw him. I said, hey, do you need help?
Before I could answer him properly, he says to me, jump in!
Fernandez says the drive out of Lahaina was bumper to bumper.
So we went up the bypass, and when it turned at the top, we stopped there for half an hour. We watched Lahaina burn.
They eventually found their families.
There's Jamie and me.
No.
And say that time in the car together kindled a lifelong friendship.
It was chaos, but there was peace between us in the car.
I will love him and consider him a friend with a capital F for the rest of my life.
Without permanent homes, fire survivors have lived a year in limbo, floating from shelters to hotels to temporary housing. Some stayed with family or friends, and sadly others made the tough call to pack up and leave the island.
Donate, keep.
Sorting through memories.
Look. Gotta keep this one.
Ahead of a life-changing move.
We've got some bins of clothes and donations that was given to us after the fire.
Maui natives Viliami and Chelsea Mailau will now call Tennessee home. They're leaving the Valley Isle and starting over for the second time after losing their home last August.
It's just had to do it once. We can do it again. It hurts, but hey, we can keep all the Hawaii stuff.
Before the fires, Viliami worked 5 jobs to provide for his family. They lost nearly everything in the disaster, then struggled to find an affordable rental. Viliami says FEMA offered free flights to leave. He initially felt he was being pushed out.
It kind of seemed like, hey, let's go off island, get off island. So, I mean, we took that, kept it in the back pocket, and then tried to figure out everything from there, hopefully not needing to pull or use that card. But when we decided in June to move to Tennessee, that's when we were kind of like, hey, maybe it'll benefit us if we can use this.
The University of Hawaii Economic Research Organization estimates that Maui lost 4,000 residents since the fires. For many, the recovery and rebuilding are too much to endure. It's easier and cheaper to leave.
The main problem was that both the FEMA and the state moved much too slowly on solutions, which ended up delaying our ability to temporarily house our families by months. And fundamentally, it led to our families experiencing housing instability, mental health struggles, and forcing families to move away.
The Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement helped Viliami obtain a commercial driver's license, which he will use to start a new career on the continent. The Mailaus know the